Kids, we are going to go back over a couple of concepts that you're going to see pop up on your chapter 2/3 test that you're going to take. I want to hit these concepts because I feel like they're pretty heavily weighted on your test, and I didn't feel like I hit them well enough when we were originally going through the notes. So we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines just briefly. So if you want to decide if lines are parallel, then you would look for the slopes. So lines are parallel if they have the same slope, but the y-intercept is going to be different. So where they cross the y-axis will be different, but otherwise their slopes will be the same. So for instance, like a slope of 2 and a slope of 2 would be parallel. Those lines would rise and run the same amount, but they would have a different y-intercept. So picture this as like the x and y-axis. They would have a different y-intercept, but their slopes would be the same. So perpendicular lines, they have opposite reciprocal slopes. And the reason is they're going different directions, so they're going to have opposite. That's why they're opposite. One's going like a positive, one's going a negative, unless it's vertical and horizontal. And the reciprocal is the opposite because you're flipping the fraction. So an example would be like a 1/3 and a -3. Those would be perpendicular. Most of you have been doing fine on those, but when it comes to telling whether lines are parallel and perpendicular when they're in these forms, it makes it a little harder. So sometimes equations are not in slope-intercept, so we're going to change these into slope-intercept. So for part A, if we want to know if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither, to use this criteria up here, we need to get it into slope-intercept. So we want it to look like y equals mx plus b because we need to know what the slope is. So we're going to take the first equation, negative 4x plus y equals 3. We're going to add the 4x to the other side. So y equals 4x plus 3. That is the first line that we are going to look at in slope-intercept form. I'm just going to circle the slope because we know the slope is 4. Now I'm going to take the second line, 4 plus y equals 4x, and I'm going to get y alone. Y equals 4x minus 4. And the way that I got that is I just subtracted 4 over. Okay, this is the equation of the second line. Circle the slope. Notice that the y-intercepts are different, but the slopes are the same. So they have the same slopes, but they have different y-intercepts. So if their y-intercepts are different, but their slopes are the same, these are parallel. And again, the symbol for parallel is the little 11, so you could use that also. Okay, let's try another set. These are a little bit harder. So we're going to get this into slope-intercept. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to minus this 20 to the other side. So negative 10y equals negative 20. Actually, I want to put it behind the x, so I'm going to go 6x minus 20. So I've moved the 20 over. Now I'm going to divide by negative 10, and I'm going to divide every single thing by negative 10. So y equals, now when I look at this, that is not in reduced form. So I'm going to make it negative 3/5 to reduce it, x, and then negative 20 divided by 10 is negative 2. That is the equation and slope-intercept of the first line. I'm going to circle my slope, negative 3/5. Okay, I'm going to take the second line, and I'm just going to copy it right here. So to get y alone in the second line, I'm going to add 3x to the other side. So 5y equals 3x plus 35. And then I'm going to divide by 5. And I'm going to get y equals 3/5 x plus 7. So now I'm comparing these two lines. I'm going to circle the slope. If you look at the slopes on these two lines, they look like they might be perpendicular. One is negative and one is positive, but they are not reciprocals. 3/5, the reciprocal of that would be 5/3, and it is not 5/3. So these are not parallel because they're not the same, and they're not perpendicular, so this is a neither. And there is no symbol for neither, just neither. Okay, one more example of these. We're going to again get y alone, so I'm going to add x to this side. So I'm going to get negative 8y equals x plus 8. So I just slide that x right in front of the 8 so I can get it in slope-intercept. Now I'm going to divide by negative 8. I'm going to divide everybody by negative 8. So y equals, there is a hidden 1 here, so this is negative 1/8 x minus 1. So that is the equation of the first line. Then I'm going to take the second line, I'm going to add 16x to the other side. So 2y equals 16x plus 0. And again, you wouldn't have to have this plus 0 there, that's just understood. I'm going to divide by 2. and I'm going to get y equals 8x. Or you can have 8x plus 0. Okay, let's circle the slopes. Negative 1/8, positive 8. They are opposite. Are they reciprocals? Well, when I take 1/8 and I flip it, I get 8, or vice versa. So they are opposite reciprocals. So these lines are perpendicular, and the symbol for that is the upside down T. And again, the y-intercepts aren't matching, but they could in perpendicular lines. It's just your y-intercepts can't match if your lines are parallel. Okay, so there's one other example I wanted to go over with you, and that is how to determine if lines are parallel, perpendicular, neither if you're given the ordered pairs instead of the equations of the lines. So this will pop up on your assessment also. So the symbol for slope is m, or the letter for slope is m. We're going to find the slope of line AB, should be lines, and we're going to find the slope of line CD, and then we're going to compare them. Okay, so the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to take AB and I'm going to subtract the y's first. So I'm going to do 4 minus 3 on top. And if I do 4 minus 3, then I have to do 8 minus 4. So I get 1 over 4. So that's the slope of AB. Now I'm going to do the slope of CD. So this time I'm going to do negative 9 minus negative 1 on top, and when you minus a negative it turns to plus positive. And then for the x's I'm going to do 4 minus 2 on bottom. And again, if I do negative 9 minus negative 1, I've got to do 4 minus 2. Okay, so this is negative 8 over 2. So negative 8 over 2 actually divides to negative 4. So now I'm comparing a slope of 1/4 and a slope of negative 4, and those are opposite reciprocals. So since those are opposite reciprocals, these slopes are perpendicular to each other because they meet the criteria of the opposite reciprocal slopes we talked about up here. So feel free, I think the hardest part of this are these three. Feel free to rewind and watch those again because you'll have these pop up on your assessments, and I just want to make sure that you've got this concept down. Send me any message if you guys have questions. Thanks, bye.